journals: Emerald's TLO and Social Responsibility Journal, Indus Science IJBIS, Springer's Current Psychological Scientific Journal, Acta Operativo Economica, Slovak Republic, Acta Pregentia, Agricultural Economic, Czech, IJ of Business and Management Studies, Turkey, etc., including 2 gold medals for Best Paper Awards, 2 Best Paper Awards, 2 silver medal winning papers, and 2 second best papers. His total citations are 442 with H index of 10 and I-10 index of 11 as on June 30, 2020, as per Google Scholar citation. Dr. Singh was conferred by Indian Commerce Association Best Business Academic of the Year BBA Award 2011 Gold Medal and MMSM Research Award 2011 and 12 Gold Medal. Dr. Singh, School Topper, SRCC Alumnus, Editor-in-Chief, Delhi Business Review, has earned Best Teacher Award for 2 consecutive years in 1998 and 1999 at IAMT. 12 international awards and distinctions have been conferred, including 2 gold medals, 1 silver medal, and other distinctions. 35 scholars have been awarded PhD degree under his supervision. Dr. Singh served as Vice Chancellor of University of Jazeera, Dubai, UAE, and has traveled to 23 countries and addressed in more than 200 conferences, seminars, workshops, training programs. He is on extraordinary leave from the post of professor at Faculty of Commerce and Business, Delhi School of Economics, University of Delhi. He has served as Dean, DU, OSD, University Press, DU Head, Graphic Arts Center, University of Delhi. Dr. Singh is Fellow and Managing Trustee of Indian Commerce Association, immediate past President of Indian Commerce Association, Delhi NCR Chapter, past President of Indian Association for Management Development, Fellow of Computer Society of India, Honorary President of Governing Body of Divine Group of Institutions, DSPSR, and many NGOs. So, with this brief introduction, I would like to invite Professor Singh sir. Please, sir, enrich us with your precious time and your experience and all other words, sir. We are waiting for your blessings. Sir, please.
Good afternoon, namaste, Jai Gurudev to all of you. I must congratulate Dr. Shishir Kumar Pandey ji for inviting me also and for doing all this. I thank you for inviting me and congratulate you for organizing such a kind of faculty development program of 1 week duration, and very appropriate topics have been chosen. And I'm sure in the last 7 days, all the participants must have been enriched by the input that they must have got. I was listening in the end when I joined, the questions which were raised shows that the level of participation and engagement amongst the participants. Questions can be asked by only those who have some interest in that. So I was telling you that you are the chosen ones because hardly 25-27% of the people are able to reach to the higher education level. Our gross enrollment ratio is 27% or whatever as per the different statistics that we have. So you are amongst those few ones. And up again for postgraduate, again it goes down, you know. So and then for MPhil or PhD, again the percentage is very less. So less than 1% of the population of this country is able to reach to the level of doing some kind of research. So I must first congratulate you that you are part of that less than 1% of the population of the country, which has that privilege to be called as scholar, research scholar, or engaged into very deep aspects of some particular aspect. And you are here for sharpening your skills, for understanding how to do it, what to do it, when to do it, what kind of journals in which you should publish. Like some question was being answered about Scopus. So if you are publishing in journals which are Scopus listed journals or Web of Science journals, they are automatically approved journals as per the University Grants Commission list. So you get points, the institution also get points. But if you don't publish in such journals which are Scopus or Web of Science journals, then you may get some points in the promotion, but the institution may not get any point. So institution would not like to have you if you are not publishing in Scopus or Web of Science. So in the interview, when we conduct interviews for faculty members, like on Sunday we conducted interviews and we hired 25 people in the panel we put for Faculty of Agriculture. And then before that, we had interviews on Saturday for Faculty of Contemplative and Behavioral Sciences, in which psychology and contemplation experts were there. And again, we had a panel of 20 plus people who would be engaged in different capacities, permanent and contractual and guest and visiting. The entire thing was got approved. So what we see when we conduct interviews is that how much is your publication? The first thing that comes is whether you have been able to publish in Scopus listed journals or not. So you need to see, you need to appreciate that institution would value you only when you are adding some points when they go for NAAC, National Assessment and Accreditation Council, when they go for NIRF ranking, National Institutional Ranking Framework. So individuals are important for an organization if they add any value to that organization. So those people are hired. The probability of hiring of those people is more those who are able to prove that they are head and shoulder above those who are there in competition with them to you. And you say, no, I have these many publications in Scopus listed journals, and their citation in my citation is so much, and the impact factor of the journal is so much. Thomson Reuters Elsevier impact factor. So all these are terms which we need to become familiar with. We can't say I don't know, I have never seen this, that, and all those things. So this is not the time that you say you are ignorant about this. Like you can't say plagiarism, I didn't know the rule of plagiarism and I published a paper. People have been fired. People have been fired from their jobs. So first part which I said was why you should be hired and why you can be fired. I'm coming on that side now. That one of the reasons of hiring is that you are able to publish well. And people are looking for those people who can enhance the rating of an institution in NIRF, NAAC, and if it is a business school, then AACSB accreditation of US or AMBA or AQUIS. The AIU, Association of Indian Universities, is bringing them at par with NAAC accreditation so far as different aspects are concerned. So, and you will have advantage even if you don't have NAAC accreditation, if you have any one of these accreditations as well, which again requires publication since it is FDP on research. So research is the most important dimension in those international level accreditations as well, ACBSP and all others. So top 3, 4, 5 are these, AACSB, AQUIS, AMBA, and ACBSP, and a few more. So we must understand that we will be hired now or promoted now or valued more now or will get increments now only if we publish. And if we not publish rightly, that means if plagiarism is there, we may be fired also. So you should be very clear, and we use this Turnitin and the other ones which we have, Orkund and others. There is a huge difference between the outcome of these two. You must realize that some thesis, PhD thesis or research article which is clear by Orkund, which is below 10% from the point of view of Orkund, may have 30% similarity index. If I would not like to use the word plagiarized content, I would say similarity index is above 30% or above 40%. Above 50%, you know the rules. Somebody must have talked to you about the rules, that if it is above 50%, then what will happen to you? If it is less than 10%, you can go ahead with that, and so on and so forth. And how to convert that, people must have talked to you about that also. So if you are citing properly, if you are putting exactly, if you are taking in double quotes and then writing the name, the source of that in the citation, and then at the reference also you are putting the complete thing. So there is a clause in the test that you can exclude these aspects. So we don't accept any PhD thesis in the university, in Sri Sri University, or even earlier in the University of Delhi, where I was. I'm on leave from there, as Dr. Pandey told you. There also we have this rule that unless you have this test clear, we don't allow them to submit. So you should make sure for your own well-being actually, because tomorrow anybody may complain against you, may file a complaint against you that this paper of yours is having this much of plagiarized content or similarity index as per this software. And if you do not have the report of the time when you got it published, then you may be in the defensive mode. So it's always better to have a copy of the report with you before you submit for publication, so that nobody can point any finger against you. These are safety walls I am saying for you. Nobody would tell you about this, because this is not part of any rule. But I have seen people complaining against those people who submitted PhD 5 years ago or so, and saying that this has this much of this and all those things. So when someone would put you in a corner, you don't know. So if we have a rule which UGC has promulgated, it is published in the Gazette of India, universities have adopted those, we must learn to use them also. So one is, you are precious if you are a good researcher. If you are able to publish well, then you are in demand. Then people will run after you. If you have 10 publications in Scopus and you are applying for a position for assistant professor, and the impact factor of those journals is high, and if you are able to communicate well, speak well, articulate well, you have some common sense here, nobody can stop you in the interview. You will be selected there. You will not be out of job, let me assure you of that. And as you go higher in that, from assistant to associate to professor, the numbers change. The quality or impact factor requirement may be higher at that level. But the basic thing remaining the same: how much you have published, where you have published, what is the impact factor of those journals. These are the things which would be the things of the future for you to survive in the world of academics. At least for next 10 to 20 years, I can say that. If there are questions, I can even take questions. I saw one question at the end was asked. I don't know that was answered or not. That I have published an article and it is not in online mode. So can I publish that in SSRN? You better take permission from the journal that you want to put it in SSRN, because SSRN contains the entire copy of that article. I have few of my articles on SSRN. So if the copyright is with you, you can always do that. If the copyright is with the editor of the journal, it is better to take that, this is the legal procedure I am sharing with you. With whomsoever the copyright is there. So whenever any publication is there, in the beginning it is mentioned generally that where the copyright lies. So if the copyright is the author, you have the right to publish anywhere actually. What to talk of SSRN. And Google Scholar is only about listing. Google Scholar doesn't contain the full article. So it contains the details of your article, title of the paper, in which journal it has been published, year of publication, volume number, page number, and all those details are there. So you should have account on Google Scholar, wherein you should list your publication so that it can search and give your citations. Like Dr. Pandey was telling you about my citation. So I came to know about this about 10 years ago, maybe, that this is something which is important. So I opened an account in the Google Scholars, say maybe 10 years ago, I don't remember exactly. So when somebody tells you, you open. So ResearchGate, do you have an account or not? SSRN, do you have an account or not? So all these are platforms wherein each one of us should have presence. It's like you have a house, you have address of your residence. In this virtual world now, where the intellectual capital is one of the most important capitals, we must have our presence in wherever in social media also, and in these media, which is from the point of view of research important. So whatever names I have told you, you must have accounts in those places, and it takes a lot of time actually. REPC is one, and there are many others that you can use for. So it's like a journey. It's not something which you will accomplish one day, because each time you publish a paper, you have to put in at different places. Wherever, like Google Scholar, you need to add yourself, or it would ask you, is it your publication or not? ResearchGate would ask you whether this is your publication or not. So if with the same name, like I'm Ajay Kumar Singh, if AK Singh in Science publishes, it comes to me whether it is your paper or not. So you should be honest enough to say no, that this is not my paper. I'm not in this field. Because if a commerce person has publication in sciences, and you have a very high index of yours, that you have so many citations and all that, that means again you are doing forgery. So you should be very particular that ethics and values are to be taken care of at every step. Don't get lured by an offer that it comes from ResearchGate or Google Scholar or somewhere, that is this your article, and you say that yes or no. Okay. So any other questions, if somebody wants to ask, you can put in the chat also. So it's a journey. We say when you complete your PhD, your journey of research actually starts. So it's not an end of research, it's the beginning of research. So when we conduct the PhD Viva, I have 35 PhD scholars I have produced up till now, if you use the word produced, because the thesis is like an outcome of that. And hundreds of PhD Vivas I have conducted by now, evaluated PhD theses and all that. So you can ask questions for even any topic which you think is appropriate or not. Somebody said, sir, can we assume more than one hypothesis? Sure, why not? One is the minimum that you should have, although there can be works without hypothesis as well. I can put some light on what is impact factor and refereed journals. All impact factor journals are by and large refereed journals. Refereed journal is, and that your article that you are sending to a journal, there is a panel of referees, those who would review your paper and give you review comments, and you will have to make changes in your article based on the review comments. And impact factor is based on your citations. So impact factor of a journal is basically dependent on how many times your papers have been cited by other people. Like Pandeyji was talking about 442 citations of my paper. So one of my papers has about 88 citations or so. If you go to Google Scholar, you will find that जो भी है statistics वहाँ दी हुई है. So your best of the papers may have higher citations, whereas there can be lower also. So I10 index is like how many times your paper. So H index is one, I10 index is one. How many times? Like University of Delhi's H index was, when we applied for the NAC, was 157. That means 157 papers of University of Delhi have been cited 157 times or more. So I10 is 10, not 10, the papers which have citations of 10 or more. So H index is like 11 papers. If H index is 11 papers have citations which is 11 or more, like that. So the University of Delhi at that time had the highest citation index as per Scopus, not anything else, only coming from the Scopus. So many of these citations which Google Scholar captures, Scopus may not capture. So your Scopus index may be much lower than the index of or citation index which is given by the Google Scholar. But you should have accounts in all. Which one would be used when you really don't know? So if you don't find any significant relationship between two variables, then that is the outcome that you have got. So as a researcher, I just read one question. So I'm generalizing that question that if you are starting as a researcher, your job is not to prove something. It can be proved or it can be disproved. Both ways, it is a research outcome. So you must understand that your research is your research, and you are a third party kind of a thing working on that. You are a third party kind of a thing, So you should not be attached to the outcome, whether the score which you expected came or it could not come. Both ways, you should be happy. Dr. Mukesh is asking what is the difference between analytical study and descriptive study. So when you apply analytical tools, then it becomes analytical study. So what are analytical tools? Like regression tells you the cause and effect relationship. The correlation tells you that whether there is a relationship between two or not. So if you want to go further, then you apply regression on that. Factor analysis tells you whether there is, these factors contribute that particular phenomena or not. So these are analytical tools. When you apply, it becomes an analytical study. Whereas descriptive is you describe about things, like a teacher describes. So based on whatever you have, so a review-based study could be a descriptive study. Somebody asked conceptual paper also. I saw one of the chat questions was, you can publish conceptual papers also. So conceptual paper could be descriptive also, and conceptual could be your new model also in the concept. So you can come out with a new model which is not yet tested. You would test it when you will do the research, but the conceptual model can also be published. Some journals only publish review-based papers. So Harvard Business Review is different kind of a thing, and Academy of Management Review Journal is only accepting the review-based articles. So it will not accept your table-based scientific study, analytical study, and all that. It will not accept that. It will say that you send only if it is review-based. So there are different journals who have very specific focus. So when you are publishing a paper, you must see in which journal you want to publish a paper, and accordingly you should prepare. It is not that you prepare a paper first, what you think is right, and then you are looking for a journal. You should first identify journals which are in your area in which you want to publish, and what is their style of writing, what is their expectation. So if you want to publish in a journal, you must start from there, that this is your area, this is your domain, where you want to publish, which are the best journals in the world, top 10 journals, and then you see what is their style, where you can publish at this moment. So ABDC journals, Scopus listed journals, and all that, these are important things. If you have any more questions, you can ask. So I don't know, somebody answered this or not. Suppose my 4 papers are published and by my name, how can I check these are published? That wherever you have submitted, you should ask them also actually where it is published, because it can't be published just like that, How we will identify the range of factor? I mean, in some journal it is below 4.0, in some it is more than 5.0. So you will find, a lot of support for even 3.0. It is up to you how much rigorous you want in that. So 5.0 is more acceptable. As you go down, you are diluting that actually. You are diluting that. So if you are doing factor analysis, if you are cutting off at 5.0, but you should have in every variable at least 5 questions. Only then you will get good results. Otherwise, you will not get. So minimum of 3 should be there to qualify for further test of structural equation modeling and validity test and all that. You would not get if the items are less in any variable less than 3. So you will lose later on. So when you prepare your questionnaire, you must be very clear that what kind of test you want to apply, and accordingly your questionnaire should be such. And then accordingly the number of respondents would also change, and what kind of test you want to apply. So there are formulas available for the adequate sample size. So sample size should be representative of the population, and the size should be such that it gives you the right kind of output. Any other question anyone has, you can ask. It's not like one way dialogue going on. One way street nahi hai. It should be a dialogue, so you can ask questions also. I don't know how much time do I have. I've already, I think, taken more than 20 minutes, whatever was allotted to me by Dr. Shishir Kumar Pandey ji.
Sir,
So
your time,
you
whatever
must be
time you
present.
want
I
to.
must again repeat, you must be present in the virtual world more than what you are present in the physical world. In terms of your addresses, at least you may have one address of your residence, you may have one address of your office or college or department or university. But in the field of research and social media, you should have, as I mentioned, in ResearchGate also, in Google Scholar also, and all other social science research network, SSRN, and many others which are there. I think Dr. Shishir Kumar Pandey wants to say something at this point. Is there any eligibility of having Google Scholar account? Can a PG student make an account and list his papers? I'm sure you can make. I don't think there is any condition that you should be a teacher. Only then you can open an account. You can open an account. I don't think there is any bar in that. And there are a lot of other facilities. If your institution has a G Suite account, you can use Google Meet platforms and other platforms as well, apart from just the Scholar. So Google is giving a lot of free things as well, apart from just this. This is also free. Google Scholar is also free, but there are other, you can have meetings and all those things also. You can shift an online teaching as well. I'm conducting workshops nowadays on how to be an effective online teacher, how to manage your mind, that is mind management, how to be happy and fulfilled. So I'm conducting programs on happiness and fulfillment as well. So you are all invited to join if you want to have journey with me on that. Dr. Shishir Kumar Pandey ji, if you have more questions, anyone has questions, they can ask. Google Scholar, Google के बहुत सारी चीजें free हैं, just enjoy that. Please share details. You can just note down my name, search about that on my website. You can see that drajayksingh.org. You can see that I have a YouTube channel called SSU Space VC. So you should subscribe to SSU Space VC. And this is my YouTube channel. This is YouTube channel SSU Space VC. You can subscribe. Even now you can subscribe. Let me see how many of you have subscribed, so you will be in more touch with me on that. And my Twitter account and other accounts are with the name of Dr. Ajay K. Singh. Dr. Ajay K. Singh is my Twitter account. Although with VC also it is there, and almost at all the places it is Dr. Ajay K. Singh. My email ID is also Dr. Ajay K. Singh. You can write to me also. This is my personal I am giving you, because official may change after the tenure is over, but this is like permanent kind of a thing. My website is drajayksingh.org. So if you have this one, you will continue to be, this will give you most updated things. So my Twitter account, my Facebook account, all are with Dr. Ajay K. Singh, Dr. Ajay Kumar Singh. So you can be in touch with me and ask questions anytime. I also answer many other type of questions. Actually, you may not be aware of that. So if you have questions which you have dilemma about, if you have few options and you think which one is the best, you don't know, even other than the research purposes also, I answer those questions as well based on an instrument called Le Quarantina. I call it divine instrument. So you can have more aspects of connection rather than just research only. So any questions you have, or Dr. Shishir would like to
All the
add
participants
anything?
are requested, if you have any question, please drop your question to chat box. And sir has
University's website
huge
is
experience in the field of academic.
shishuniversity.edu.in. You would be happy to know we have started from yesterday the online classes of our next semester. We already conducted previous semester classes online from the day one, and then we conducted the online exam. We conducted Bloom's taxonomy workshop online, and review workshops on that, how to be an effective online teacher and all that. So a lot of journey we have traveled, a lot of Facebook live sessions on happiness also I have given, so that your mind is calm and cool, so that you can do research also well. You can't do research if your mind is wandering. So you need to know about that also. I can keep on and on. How a good primary study data is primary or secondary. Data study is not primary. Is that only primary studies are published in Scopus and APTC journal? I told you, every journal has its own policy. So you need to go to each journal and see what kind of articles are being published. So there is no one generic answer for this. And studies are not primary or secondary. The method of collection of data is primary or secondary. So both have value. In the field of finance, most of the studies are secondary in nature, because if it is based on stock market prices and things like that, or it is based on annual reports and all that, so you need secondary data more. And in behavioral studies, it is more of primary data. So it depends on which field you want to do study. Based on that, the value of primary database studies or secondary database studies are there. So let's understand, the research or studies are not primary or secondary. The method of collection of data is primary or secondary. We need to learn how to use each term very carefully, because in the interview, when you write like this or say like this, then the question will come that what kind of studies are there, and so on and so forth. So how you prepare synopsis, if you're not registered already, you need to understand that there should be some introduction, there should be some review of literature, the gaps that you have found, and the rationale of your study, the objectives of your study, the hypothesis of your study, the research methodology, method of collection of sample, the sample size, the sample frame, and the statistical tools that you want to use, the tentative conclusions that you have in mind, references in one particular style, say APA style, or Harvard style, or Chicago style, or MLN style, or whatever style you want. So even a research paper should have these kind of templates. So there are specific templates which are preferred by different kind of journals. How a good a secondary study can be? Is it that only primary? Again, I think you have pasted this. Yes, sir. That what I am saying, finance mostly a secondary database study, because they can't. I mean, it can have primary also, because if they do investor survey, then it could be primary. But it is easy for them to do secondary database studies, so they do it more like that. Can it be published in best international journal? Actually, international journals, when we go, we do work only in India, and we think that international journals would find it interesting. So unless it is of their interest, they generally don't publish. So we need to realize this. If we are looking for, we must go and check on those journals. Whatever is your target journal, we must see what is the sample frame that they are taking. So for them, India may not be in their frame. But if you say between India and America, if it is an American journal, if you make comparative study of few nations in which the host country of the journal is also there, then the possibility of publication increases. So you need to have a target in which journal you want to publish, and accordingly you must design your study. you are really wanting to publish in that journal. Reliability and validity of the questionnaire can be tested only when you apply those. So Vandana Sharma is asking about this. And questionnaire, if you take standard questionnaire, then it will have the reliability and validity scores. But if you want to design your own questionnaire, then it can come only after you do the study. So you can't check it unless you have the sample to check on that. So it comes when you are doing the data analysis, when you have collected the data, and then you are applying the statistical tools you're applying, which are testing your reliability and validity. So there are different kind of tests which are available. Only then you would come to know about that. So if you are not sure about how to develop a good questionnaire, you should use standard questionnaires. But if you are very confident that you find the loopholes in the standard questionnaire, you want to extend those questionnaires, it doesn't have Indian context, it is more of Americanized context. So then you can say, okay, this was the base and I want to take it to the next level. And this is what I want to add in this. So then you say, okay, the reliability and validity scores will be tested once the data is collected. So I hope I have answered, Vandana Sharma ji. Anyone has any more questions, you can ask. Otherwise, I can say thank you to all of you. In finance also, people can ask, like L.C. Gupta ji studies in finance. I still remember the reasons of sickness in the companies, and he actually interviewed people, those who were entrepreneurs of those sick companies and all that. So it depends. In finance also, you can have primary database studies, and they are more meaningful many a times. And it's good to have. I value more primary database studies, but if it is adding value to the body of knowledge, a study which is purely on secondary database also, people accept that. So it's not about which one is more preferable. To me in person, I'm the field of OBHR now, so it is more of primary database studies. In the finance as well, if you have done the secondary database, then to check the proof of that, you might do some based on the primary, just to see that. Any questions you have? So what is the relevance of multidisciplinary research in current situation? There's a lot of relevance of multidisciplinary research, and that is more in demand actually. That is more in demand. Can you suggest good journals in HRM? HRM in India, if you see, and actually now the method has changed. The method is that you should go to the Scopus listed journal first, and then see what are the journals. There is a biggest association called Society for HRM, and they have their journal, and that is one. Administrative Science Quarterly also publishes, which is one of the top ranked journals. Academy of Management journals are there, which publish in the HRM area also. In India, ISTD has a journal. I have to check whether they are in Scopus now or not, because the world has changed in the terms of journals. Otherwise, it was very respected journal. There are more. ISTD was Indian Society for Training and Development. The name of the journal was Journal for Training and Development, actually, which is part of the HRM domain. And others are more journal like Decision, and these journals of IIMs are more into that domain. Vikalpa is one which also publishes, but these are general management kind of a thing, which includes HRM as an area in that. एक लेबर करके एक जर्नल आता है, इंडस्ट्रियल रिलेशंस करके एक जर्नल आता है, which is also in the area of HR, you can say. From India, I'm saying these names. Administrative Science Quarterly is international. Academy of Management is international. Society for HRM is international. These are US based. So most of the American bodies have very old journals actually. Finance में Journal of Finance जो है, accounting का भी जैसे वहाँ पे American Accounting Association के जो journals हैं. So they are very respected journals. So the best of the associations have the journals which are very respected journals. So you must see in which area of HRM actually you want, and which particular topic you want, and which the best of the journals are there. So you have to start from there. So HRM is also a huge field, you know. So the journals of each area could be quite within the area of HRM could be so many. So SHRM is the largest and the most respected international level association of HR professionals. In India, it is National HRD Network actually, uh, which is the most strongest, but it is more industry based. SHRM gives certifications also. You can have training programs, you can have workshops also. Similarly, ISTD also have training programs, workshops, and as well as the programs which are, you know, giving you certifications. In the Western world, if you don't upgrade yourself, you are no longer part of the, you know, you don't get promotions and all that. Your promotions are dependent upon how much you are continuing, you know, it's like lifelong learning, updations and all that. So it's part of the professional bodies that they upgrade you. So go to the Scopus and see what are the journals there, listed there, and go to Web of Science and see in your area. Make a list and maybe circulate that. You can circulate that also. Any other question anyone has? I have done study in influence of social media on interpersonal relationship of senior secondary school students in Sonipat district during COVID-19. For which journal should I go for? So it's more like localized thing, and so it should be Indian. It is not a comparative study of different nations. So your scope is limited to India, and that too it is limited to Sonipat. So the journals which are Indian journals, and how much was the sample size, what kind of statistical test you have used, that would decide what kind of journals you can actually look for. So it's a very localized kind of. The more the sample is from different places, more the acceptability is. So if you have, you know, different countries comparison, then it becomes a global kind of a study or international study. Then the acceptability in international journals are there. And you must imagine actually each journal would be getting a lot of articles if they are Scopus listed journals. Objectives could be 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, it's the larger number of objectives are not good for PhD. Let me tell you. If 2, 3, 4, 5 are there, they are sufficient. How you organize those objectives are very important, and more than that, hypotheses are important actually, particularly if it is quantitative based studies. Anybody having any other question? So objective should not be very large, hypothesis should not be very large. It should be more specific, crisp. How you write hypothesis is also very important. If you are developing a model, it is valued more. If you are developing an index, it is valued more. If you are developing a questionnaire, a standard tool which others could follow, it is valued more. So what is the contribution of your study? Is it landmark study, or it is just like any other study? Differentiate between how good researcher you are or how not good researcher you are. So if you want to make, like we always say, Cronbach alpha score is this. So you must cite actually alpha. Cronbach जब हम नाम लिखते हैं Cronbach alpha का, तो हमें पीछे cite करना चाहिए, उसका reference में डालना चाहिए उसको जो है. So that is kind of a landmark study, that if you want to have a test, then this is what the score would be, and this is how it is measured and all that. So all the reliability tests that you apply, all the validity tests that you apply, you must cite and give reference of them. So these are called landmark studies. So if you are developing some tool, if you are developing some questionnaire which becomes a standard tool, because the reliability and validity high, and those researchers who want to do research in that area would like to use that, then that is a kind of a landmark study. Or you are developing an index which others can also use, or if you have created a model which others can use. So is your study going to be useful by the successors in the field of research? It becomes a landmark study. People would like to cite you more. That is why the value of citation is there. Otherwise, there would not have been any value of citation. That is why the impact factor is important, because these are testimony to whether other people want to refer to you or not. So if it is not something which others would like to refer, it becomes zero citation. If it is zero citation, you don't have any value. It is just like you have put in something which is lying in the shelf somewhere. तो जो पीएचडी थीसिस सिर्फ ड्रार में पड़ी रहती हैं या लाइब्रेरी में किसी शेल्फ में पड़ी रहती हैं, उनकी कोई वैल्यू नहीं होती. या जो रिसर्च पेपर सिर्फ एक जर्नल में छप गए, कुछ कॉपीज प्रिंट हुई, किसी ने साइट नहीं किया आपको, तो आपकी वैल्यू मार्केट में नहीं है. आपकी वैल्यू मार्केट में तभी है जब कुछ आप ऐसा काम करते हैं जो कि दूसरे लोग उसको समझते हैं कि वैल्यूएबल है, उसको साइट करते हैं. डिस्क्रिप्टिव पेपर में हाइपोथेसिस को टेस्ट करने के कोई वो नहीं होते हैं. सो डिस्क्रिप्टिव पेपर में हाइपोथेसिस की कोई खास वैल्यू नहीं होती है. It is more in the empirical work that hypotheses are more valuable. But even in a descriptive paper or even in a review-based paper, I have seen some that they can prove certain phenomena. So if you are able to prove certain phenomena, then definitely you can have a hypothesis based on the work of other people. Then it becomes secondary database kind of a thing, which is like used through the review of literature of other people. So there is a way to do use hypothesis even in a descriptive kind of a paper, but then it becomes a more analytical paper based on work of other people. Average percentages are not used for hypothesis testing. They are not the tools for hypothesis testing. You can read in the books of research methodology. Okay, I think Dr. Pandey, I have taken more than the time that you allotted for me. There are some journals which has impact factor more than 4 or 5 points, but they are charging for publication without properly reviewed. They are not having 4 or 5 as per Thomson, Reuters, Elsevier. That is the only citation impact factor which is valued. Others are not valued. So you must know there are many other impact factors which are being sold like this. You should not get prey to that. You should not fall prey to that. So you can't get 4 or 5 kind of a journal for which the review process is weak. If you understand, you just write in the Google Thomson Reuters impact factor journal list. You will see the complete report of Thomson Reuters based journals, and that is the only impact factor which is accepted. Like only Scopus listed journals are accepted. Similarly, only that impact factor is accepted. No other impact factor is accepted. You can have your own impact factor, but who is going to accept that, right? So all other impact factors are not accepted. What exactly is my publication service? I have never heard of this, and these are like those which crop up when these kind of rules come that you should have impact factor and all that. तो कई सारे journals आए, इसलिए UGC ने उनको हटा दिया अपनी list में से, या include नहीं किया था जो है. So there are a lot of journals which also came. So wherever people see an opportunity to earn money, they create those organizations. Just check करो कितने साल पुरानी है my publication service, you would come to know, and where all it is accepted, who accepts that, like that. See, NAC में क्या acceptable है, NIRF में क्या acceptable है, UGC में क्या acceptable है, इन्हीं 3 क्वेश्चन का आंसर में आपको सब कुछ मिल जाएगा. तो सिर्फ don't go just by the word of impact factor or citation index and things like that. Which is valued is also important. So I hope, Dr. Shishir Kumar Pandey ji, I have done justice to whatever you wanted me to do.
Yes, of course, sir. Of course,
What
you have given a
exactly?
lot
Okay, this I have
than the expectation. Most of
This
the
I have
participants. Hello.
Okay, I don't see any more questions
Hello.
coming. So one more thing, let me tell you, many people in the behavioral studies use 5-point Likert scale 5-point Likert scale is an ordinal scale. If you want to convert it into an interval scale, you need to not specify 2, 3, 4. Then it becomes an interval scale. Many people commit this mistake. They use Likert scale as an interval scale without changing the pattern of that. So if you say 1 strongly disagree, 2 moderately disagree, 3 don't know, 4 moderately agree, and 5 strongly agree, it becomes an ordinal scale. By default, it is an ordinal scale. So those who are doing or using this, they should be very cautious about how to use Likert scale if you are applying tests which are applicable for interval scale or ratio scale. So unless the data has been collected, which is in that scale, you can't apply those tests. So when parametric tests are applicable, when non-parametric tests are applicable, what kind of sample you should have for parametric tests? If it is not random sample, parametric tests are not applicable. So if it is non-random sample, convenience sample, then parametric tests are not applicable. So you need to learn, go a little more deeper into what all is applicable for your study, what is not applicable for your study. Okay, thank you very much. Are you there, Dr.
Yes, sir.
Pandey?
Yes,
Are you
sir.
there?
Sir.
I saw you moving out from here. Just unmute yourself and come.
Actually, I am unmuted, but
It was nice talking to all of you and seeing your questions on the chat. That is called engagement. In the online mode, engagement is very important. So I am concluding here. Thank you very much. Namaste. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much
To join the journey with
for
me.
your
Subscribe to that channel, SSU Space VC YouTube channel, and come to the website also.
sure, sir. Sure.
Thank you. Bye bye to all of you.
I am very thankful.
I am very thankful for Professor A.K. Singh, sir, for his valuable time and sharing his experience with us.
You are out. Who is the?
Hello.
Yeah, I can see you in the gallery. I saw. So may I leave with your permission, Dr. Shishir Kumar Pandey? Can I leave? I can't hear you, Dr. Pandey.
Is there any problem in my volume? Voice? Can anybody tell me? Hello?
Yes, hello.
Awaz here?
Yes.
And thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time and speech and your suggestions. We will definitely follow you, whatever you have taught us, and we will try to write a research paper according to your suggestions and get it published in reputed journals or only. And with these lines, this is the time of vote of thanks to all the participants and experts. It is my privilege to have been given an opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion.
Your voice is echoing because you're logged in from 2 accounts. Yeah, now you're muted one, so now it would be fine.
Is this clear, sir?
Yeah, now it is clear. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, sir, I was talking, but you were unable to hear my voice. That is why I started to speak with another device. I, Dr. Shishir Pandey, on behalf of Bhaudi Group of Institutions, pay my regards to Professor Ajay Kumar Singh, sir, for giving us valuable suggestions and sharing his experience with us in the field of research, and motivated us to utilize all the skills whatever we have learned in this workshop. And I was not expecting that he could give us such a time. Otherwise, I asked some other more questions regarding that. I prepared about that. Actually, we have to conclude the session, and it is the time of ending. the workshop which is organizing for the last 7 years, and it is the last day. And I would like to thank the Professor H.K. Singh sir, whose encouragement has given me power to start this program. And I would like to thank all the speakers, Professor Dr. Hariom Gupta from University of Allahabad, Dr. Jaya Chawla from Government PG College, Ratanpur, Bilaspur, Dr. Sailesh Kumar Dwivedi, Department of Commerce, Guru Ghasidas Central University, Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh, Dr. Vikas Kumar, Assistant Professor, Government PG College, Obra, Sonbhadra, Dr. Ruchi M. Joshi from Dehradun, Dr. Sunil Kumar from Symbiosis, Indore, Dr. Chand P. Saini from Gurugram, and CMA Vikas Saha sir from Satna, AKS University Satna. And I would like to congratulate, and I'm very thankful all the participants who have patiently covered all the sessions and learned a lot, and hope they will be utilizing all these things whatever is delivered in this workshop, and it will be applied in their research. And if it will be done, then I will be feeling very proudly. And this is a proud moment for Bhaudi Group of Institution. I am thankful for the management committee, Shri Mishri Lal Verma sir, Managing Director of Bhaudi Group of Institution, Engineer P.N. Verma sir, Chairman of the organization, Dr. Avdesh Kumar Verma sir, Secretary of Bhaudi Group of Institution, Dr. Rajneesh Srivastava sir, principal of Bhaudi Educational Institute, and he was one of our guests in the session. Dr. Sanjay Kumar Kushwaha sir, Director of Bhaudi Institute of Business, Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research. Dr. Mirza Sahab Shah sir, Head of Department, K.S. Sakit, PG College, Ayodhya. Dr. Chinmay Roy sir, Department of Commerce, Banaras Hindu University. And I would like to congratulate all the dignitaries. And this is the end of the session. I will share a link for feedback as well as your assignment of today. And please fill properly your name designation so that I can create your certificate, and it will be sent personally. Don't think that it is auto-generated. It will be created by another software, and it will be sent personally to each participant. So please uh, put only those information what you wanted to see on your certificate.